Hey guys, welcome back for another video. This is going to be quick and dirty. How to change the battery in your Harmony Elite remote. I showed you years ago how to do the Ultimate, which they said couldn't be done. Well, this one's just as easy. You can get your battery off of Amazon. I'll put the link down below. This particular kit also comes with a spudger tool to help you pry apart any plastic things and a screwdriver. Now we'll see how well that screwdriver tip fits. Sometimes you're going to do well with something else. I've got a variety of other screwdrivers here. We'll see what actually fits. The only major downside to these cheap ones they usually include with things like this is they're really small. So if you've got big sausage fingers like me, it can be kind of hard to hold on to. You can see that a larger one here is much better to get a purchase on, but we'll see if it's even needed. So the first thing we have to do is open up the remote. We've got the little port down here, which a lot of people don't even know about. This is a USB port. This is both for interfacing with a computer to do your updates or programming, just like the app, but with some different features. And you can also directly charge it if you want to. These are the charging tips for the cradle, and they basically do the same thing. We've got two little screws here, and you can see that's what your screwdriver is for. So let's open up this package and see how well it does. First, you want to make sure that the tip fits with no slop, and this actually does. That fits no problem. So I'm going to carefully apply pressure. You don't want to slip. And it is slipping. It's not unscrewing the screw very easily. It's called camming out. It's actually pushing against the slope of the screwdriver tip. And looking at the tip, it's pretty sloppy. It's just not a precision ground tip to be expected. I mean, these things are probably a penny to produce. Let's try this one here. This may be a little too big, but you never know until you try, and it is. It is a little bit too big. The center section here doesn't even allow it to go into the slots. So we're gonna move on, and we're gonna try some other screwdrivers. And here I've got my set for my watch projects. We'll see how this one fits. First, Phillips. And that's a little loose, so I can wiggle it back and forth. That's not what you want. Let's try the next size up. And that's a little loose as well. And looking at this one, the slope is too steep. So it's bottoming out on the screw before it hits the wider shoulder part. And that will cause it to cam out as well. And you can very easily strip out the head. So, given that the one they've included is the correct shape tip, it's just the right diameter, and it's got the right profile to give a solid purchase. That means we're just going to have to apply more force into the screw as it comes out. So having big hands, it's a two-prong adventure because I have to apply pressure, and you can see it's short, so I'm going to have to scrunch my hand up, and it's very thin, so it's going to be hard for me to twist. Now we do, if you notice here, have a nice shape. So we could put a wrench or a set of pliers on it, and if I can't get a really good solid purchase easily without damaging the screw, that's what I can try next. So first we're just going to try and putting a lot of pressure with the palm of our hand and carefully turning it. You just want to avoid any kind of slippage or stripping on that screw head. So I'm going to push quite hard and gently turn and see what happens. It's probably a little Loctite on the screw, and that's keeping it in. So it feels like it's turning. It's very small, and I just want to make sure it's not stripping. It's kind of hard for me to see it. We'll just continue coming out. It doesn't feel like it's slipping at all. It just feels like it's slowly unscrewing. And now I can see the screw head. So that's all it took. You can see without that really strong pressure, it still cams out. So make sure you push very hard and just slowly twist it, and it comes out. And even partially out, it still needs that pressure. So there's definitely some kind of Loctite on that screw. Take that out. And I don't see anything on these threads. It may be in the threads inside. Let's go ahead and do the other one. Same thing, lots of pressure. The very first turn is the most critical, that you don't want to start stripping. and it cammed out a little bit there, but it did start to move. This one's a little harder. Now I can see that I just barely started to strip that head. I took off the finish and I can see a bright spot on the screw in there. That's what you want to avoid. So I need to be extra careful now, because as soon as you start to strip it, it's going to strip even easier from that point forward. So I just need to get the right spot here on my hand, get that pressure on there, a gentle turn. Oh, boy, that is tough. That is really, really tough. And now it's stripped out just a little bit more, so I'm going to stop because it is starting to round out that screw. Looking at the screwdriver, it has actually damaged the actual screwdriver tip. So that is why that one is stripping out. The screwdriver is just very, very low quality metal and is starting to round out. So I'm gonna go hunt for a better screwdriver tip before I damage anything else. All right, and now in my computer little screwdriver kit here, I have a tip that fits very well. It's flat enough, it's a shallow enough angle that it's fitting in the head. I want to see if there is a number on here I can tell you, just so you know what tip it is. It says 000. So if you have a screwdriver set, look for your 000 Phillips head. Now this one is a much higher quality steel tip. It's not going to be stripping itself out, and it's longer, and I can get a better purchase on it. So this should come right out without any problem. The important part is to stop before you do damage. Take it slow. If I would have continued to strip that screw out, well, then you're in trouble and you have to extract it and then get yourself another screw. So I'm still going to use a lot of pressure. Make sure I'm straight in on there, and now do a gentle unscrew, and it's coming out. But because the screwdriver tip isn't damaged, now it's not camming out. So make sure you are continually monitoring both your screwdriver tip and the screw head, because either one getting damaged will result in a problem for you. So now let's open this up and change the battery. Now for this, you don't even actually need a spudger tool. You can use your fingernails. I don't particularly have any great ones, so we're going to use this. Now this piece here should just slide off to the bottom. What you don't want to do is mar this just because you would see it. So I'm just going to gently put this in the crease here, give it a quick nudge, and I can see that it's very loose. So I'm just going to work it and it pops right off. No big deal there. Now we've got two screws to take off here. These are larger ones. Shouldn't be any kind of issue like we just ran into. So let's take those off. And these come off without any effort whatsoever. Now we just need to split the back off, and we're just going to go right in this seam here. Give it a gentle whoop. See, that's what you don't want to do on any part you can see. Luckily, I didn't have a lot of pressure there. I just want to work this. There's a snap right about here. All you have to do is run this tool down the edge, and they open up. Same thing on the other side. And the back comes right off. Here's our battery. Tap it out. Lift it out. Wiggle the wire around the little stand there. Now you can gently just wiggle and pull the plug out of the socket. Put in your new one. It only goes in one way. Make sure it's in. Route your wire back around that little stand. And put the battery back in place. Maybe a little tight fit. It's not an OEM battery, so it may be off by a millimeter or so. but there's nothing special. It just presses back into place. Make sure we're flush. Put our back on, just snaps down. Make sure you put your top tabs in first. And then just press down along the sides. Put your 2 big screws back in. Just hand snug. Don't tighten them down any more than they start to feel resistance. Snap your bottom cover back on. Make sure it's oriented in the right way. The 2 screw holes you'll see are more towards one side than the other. You should be able to look through the end there and see the screw holes. Put those back in. Button it back up. Throw it back in the cradle, give it a full charge, and you will be all set. So not too terribly difficult. I'll put links to both the battery and this good screwdriver, which you may need if you don't have one that's going to fit well already, because the one that is included with the kit, and while it's nice to have, and it may work better for some than others, you can see it only worked for 1 screw in my case before it started to damage itself. So that's it. Hope it helps. See you next time.